When Christopher Nolan did it in 2010, he single-handedly set the world ablaze with questions like, was Cobbin a dream or was it the reality? But far more important question for us was if Raju was able to take Shyam's phone call before throwing off the prestigious guns or not. Hello guys, welcome to Filmanter, and for today's list, we'll be counting down some of the best open-ended climaxes in Bollywood that have left the viewers asking more questions than knowing the answers for. Before we begin though, please make sure to subscribe to Filmanter and press the bell icon to never miss an update. Also note that the video is gonna contain a lot of spoilers. With that out of the way, this is Amir, and here are top 5 movies with ambiguous endings. Number 5. Phir Hera Pheri. We'll start off on a lighter note with the equally entertaining sequel to the legendary comedy Hera Pheri, starring Akshay Kumar, Sunil Shetty, and Paresh Rawal. The film, which sees our beloved characters get trapped in yet another entangled mess of money, diamonds, and fraud, ends on a rather open-ended note which sees Raju trying to reach out to the bag full of guns with an intent of throwing it into the lake. Little does he know, however, that the guns he's trying to push over the edge are antiques worth of tens of millions each. Knowing their financial struggle all too well by this point, and the fact that the antiques could literally change their lives for the better yet again, the scene leaves the viewers anxious to see what eventually took place. And what adds to the tension in the scene is that all while this is happening, the other two are continuously calling their housemate in hopes to stop him from doing the deed. Similar to its first installment, Phir Hera Pheri sees our protagonists going through anything and everything to get back their lost fortunes, and this is the closest they get. We just hope that the third installment puts our worries to rest once and for all. Number 4. The Lunchbox. It wasn't like any other Bollywood love story, but the real beauty of The Lunchbox was that its climax said nothing and yet said everything. The intimate story between two regular people who find a strange connection with each other through a lunchbox ends without them ever meeting or having any plans to do so in the future. In fact, in the end, we see Ila write to Sajan that she will be moving to Bhutan with her daughter, which forces Sajan to begin search for her, leaving the viewers to wonder if at all they were able to unite when all was said and done. The Lunchbox is a rare example of films where you could think of hundreds of possibilities that may have happened and all would make sense.
Unbelievable.
Maybe Sajan was able to stop Ila right on time and they lived happily ever after. Maybe that wasn't the case, yet they both departed being a better version of themselves because of their interactions with each other. Or maybe Sajan too moved to Bhutan rather than Nasik. After all, he did bring up the idea a few times earlier on. Whatever the case be, the movie gave a satisfactory closure to both Ila and Sajan before they could ever meet, which does suggest that regardless of their fate with each other, they both went on to live better lives than they were living before they ever bumped into each other. Number 3. No smoking. If you were left scratching your head after watching this lesser-known John Abraham's daughter, don't worry. You're not alone. After getting his first 2 films banned by the censor board, Anurag Kashyap was able to trick the world for his third by making everyone believe that this 2007 psychological thriller was his humble campaign against smoking. But the film was much more than the apparent. It was a fight between arrogant and super arrogant. About the freedom to choose something that is obviously harmful versus getting something harmless shoved down one's throat. The ending of No Smoking sees Kay fall into the water in the police station, from which point his soul and body take on their separate ways. While the confused soul is tortured and later perished, the body wakes up next to his perceived dead wife, who is very much alive, while 2 of his fingers are missing, signaling the loss of that part of himself who was the addict. Was all this real, or just happening in Kay's mind as part of his therapy to eventually quit smoking? Was water used throughout the film merely to represent calm, or did it play a medium to connect Kay's subconscious with his conscious at any given time? There are several theories to back both the arguments, but one thing is for sure, No Smoking is much deeper than we expect regular Bollywood movies to be, which is perhaps why the film couldn't get either the fans or the critics on its side upon release. Number 2. Talwar. The 2015 suspense thriller is a very interesting addition to this list because from the most conventional sense of things, the movie does not end on an ambiguous climax. It follows CDI proceedings in uncovering a double homicide case in Noida and the department's investigation of 2 prime suspect parties. based on true events, the movie does have a proper ending which sees the parents getting convicted and sentenced, but the viewers are still left with more questions than answers when all is said and done. Writer Vishal Bhardwaj and director Meghna Gulzar take a very objective stance in depicting both the sides, playing out all the possible turn of events that may have taken place leading up to the horrifying event, forcing the audience to subconsciously choose who they believe are on the right. Therefore, when the conviction finally takes place, to many, in the best possible terms, it doesn't seem as decisive as they hoped for, leading to a very strange feeling of inconclusiveness by the time the curtains are down. Talwar sports an ambiguous ending not in terms of plot, but what we were to take from it. Was justice rightfully served? Were both the CDI teams biased towards any preconceived notions? Could external factors have influenced the investigations? Questions like these remain unanswered today as Talwar remains one of the best the past decade had to offer. And number 1. Andhadhun. A blind pianist who's not actually blind takes up this persona to sharpen his craft on the keyboard. He bears witness to a murder scene but finds himself in a dichotomy to choose between what's right and what's safe. Being at the center of all what transpires, he gets lured into a trap and loses his sight for real, later running into the organ trafficking business along with the antagonist of his life, but somehow manages to escape to Europe, where he then continues pursuing his passion with no sight, only he sure can see. Just before the end credits roll, we see Akash push a can aside from his path, signaling that he's definitely not blind, and that contrary to his statements to his ex-girlfriend Sophie, he might have agreed to the doctor to take Simi's eyes. But hold on, that's the beauty of Andhadhun. That single hit to the can opens the door to so many possibilities that the more you look at it, the more you find yourself confused. Knowing the fact that the incidents in the film are being narrated all this time from Akash's perspective right from the beginning when he's already in Europe, there's no guarantee that all happened as we saw on our screens. A popular fan theory among others suggests that Simi was never the serial killer she was portrayed to be by Akash. They both did spend the night together but got busted by Sophie, which was the last we saw of her. Seeing her in Europe, Akash created this whole story of antagonizing Simi in order to get back to Sophie. One theory even goes as far as calling Akash the real killer of Simi's husband when he saw Simi and Akash getting intimate in his apartment. After all, it's just Akash trying to justify his stance to Sophie that we're seeing. All we know is that a guy like Sriram Raghavan, who has made Badlapur and Ek Hasina Thi in the past, has never been interested in white meat heroes, and Akash suspiciously tries to pass off as one. And there you have it, guys. Top 5 Bollywood movies with ambiguous endings. Did we miss any of your favorites? Let us know in the comment section down below. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and while you're at it, press the subscribe button to support Filmanter. With that out of the way, have a safe week ahead. This is Amir, and I will see you soon.